election of Trump as basically white America's last stand against multiculturalism. There were a lot of people that just see the whole world moving away from them. They see all this globalization. They see their kids dating someone of a different religion or a different race. They see gay marriage is suddenly okay. They see all these things happen. They see the music. They see the television shows. They see everything moving to the left. And how do they stop it? How do they stand up and say, we've had enough? And when you look at where Trump's votes came from, they literally came from communities where there are no Hispanics living, where there are no blacks living, where there are no Muslims living. So how did these people even feel threatened by multicultural America? It's just they want to say, time out.
All right, peep game and lock in. I'm going to tell you the real reason why white people fear black people as much as they do, and they be shaking their motherfucking boots. I'm talking about clutching their pearls every single time they're around us. It's not for the reason that you think. It's not because they think that you're going to steal something or some shit like that. It's really, really simple. If they were in our shoes and we did the type of shit that they did to us, to them, they would have been got their revenge. They would have been taking us the fuck out. All right? They would have been got violent. Been got their get back. They simply would not have had the capacity to approach the situation, i.e. slavery, injustice, all that stuff, with as much grace and humility as we have extended to them. It was never about them, worried about you were going to steal something. They were waiting.
Have you guys seen that video that's going around of a black lad walking around in his neighborhood, and then he's being followed by a group of white people asking him why he's there, because they particularly felt that he shouldn't be in this neighborhood. He repeatedly said to them, this is my neighborhood. They constantly following him and harassing him for being in that particular neighborhood. Now, this is a public road. Even if it wasn't his neighborhood, this is a public road. This is how scary. You have to be fearful of us, our black men, where they go. Because, anything could have happened here. He had his mobile phone and he filmed it. He was filming it. And there is this one man, he drove up in his car like Starsky and Hutch. Yes, I'm that old, I remember Starsky and Hutch. And went for a gun. It was one of the other men that stopped him. But they were there harassing this guy. He's walking, minding his own business and harassing him. He's in his own neighborhood. His mother has now put a statement out that says, yes, they do live in the neighborhood. And he went out for a walk so he can have a word, speak to his girlfriend privately on his phone. And why is it white people are so scared of black people? What is it? If you're white and you're watching this, let me know. What is the problem with you and black people? Why are you so scared? And why is it that you have to harass our men, right, in particular, right? Why are you so scared? There's good white people and there's bad white people. There's good black people and there's bad black people. We're not all the fucking same. What is it that's going on? Why? And you're going to be called out because now we've got social media, we've got mobile phone, and we'll film that shit, right? So you're going to be called out. It's particularly disturbing because, anything can happen. What about the lad they found hanging from a bridge, or was it a tree or something? He didn't put himself there. He was at work. He was in his work. He was working. This is the thing. In this day and age, 2024, and we've got to fear. We have to be fearful for our men and women when they're out on their own. This is crazy, and the government need to do something about this. This cannot go on. It can't go on. Anyway, let me have your comment. Put it in the comment. Let's have your comment. See you on the next one.
According to a new study, white folks are afraid of Asian kids enrolling in their kids' schools because of the perception that their kids will not look as bright in comparison. The researchers looked at moving patterns in California and found that there is this definitive link between Asian families moving to a community and white families not only just switching schools, but moving out of the community altogether. After controlling for a lot of factors, they found that for every one Asian student that entered a school system, it resulted in 1.5 white kids moving away. And they found that the fact that Asian students, on average, perform better in education outcomes was the main driver of this behavior. It's not just California either. A writer found in 2017 in Johns Creek, a suburb of Atlanta, that as Asian folks were moving in, white people would move out because they believed that the schools were getting too competitive. This dovetails nicely in something I talked about a couple days ago, which is relative position. The idea that some people believe that a good is only good if they have more of it than their neighbors. If nothing else, this helps just put to rest this idea of the good school, at least in the white community, because a lot of times outcomes are used as a stand-in for being a good school. But what if it has more to do with relative position and homogeneity?
White people are terrified of defying authority and breaking the rules. I used to think that white people just were super racist and they hated black people, and that's why anytime something happened to black people involving the police brutality or something, that it was because of that, right? When the reality is actually much deeper than that. And I always think back to Martin Luther King's letters from Birmingham jail when he asked about the white moderate, and essentially he's inquiring about why they won't get active in his quest for change, right? Because these weren't racist white people. These weren't the hateful white people. These were the white people who agreed with him, but who were just reluctant to act. So then I began to think about the history of white people, how they became white and why they came to America in the first place. And all of a sudden it made a lot more sense. Europeans came to America to escape prosecution and persecution in their own lands. They did not have the strength or courage to fight and fend for their own lands. So they packed up their entire families and came to America for a fresh start. The Europeans that came to America are not the Europeans that were fighting French revolutions and putting the elites' heads on a stick. This is not the same group. Europeans that came to America were the most impoverished, the most vulnerable, the most afraid. These are the people who risked their lives to be here because they had nothing else to lose in Europe. And the only reason that they survived here is because they kept their heads down. I think a lot of people forget that before it was America that was tormenting the entire world, it was Britain. I want y'all to think about all of the countries that now belong to the United Kingdoms. Those were all once independent European groups who spoke vastly different languages and had vastly different cultures and now have been amalgamated into one cultural group. When these people came to America, they were terrified and frightened and just wanted a fresh start. And so when the elites and the colonial bourgeois offered them conditional privileges and the safety net of whiteness to ignore the brutality against black and indigenous people, they accepted it. They eliminated their heritage, their cultural practices. Some of them changed their names, stopped eating certain foods. They assimilated as much as they could, emulated the cultural elites, as in the bourgeois, white people or whatever, and they never looked back. The Europeans were terrified of standing out. And that terror of being singled out, of being persecuted, still persists today. And this is why whiteness is so extremely rigid and sterile. Because this is a group of people who were terrorized for over a millennia by the rich, by the elite, by the feudal lords. And even though America was hell for black and indigenous people, it was a breath of fucking fresh air for the Europeans. The core ideology of whiteness is following the rules and obeying authority. Because that is how white privilege came to be. Follow the rules, you stay in line, you ignore the atrocities of black and indigenous people, and you will be just fine. And that is why none of these white people ever want to do anything about anything. They are terrified. They come from weak, fragile bloodlines. It has been passed down not only through social teachings but epigenetics. These people were helpless then in their homelands in Europe, and they're helpless now in America. And this is really why people tend to pathologize the Black American experience of fighting against injustice, because their survival depended on doing the exact opposite. They see our fight as going against the grain, and as long as they stay away from us, stay away from our movements, they can remain safe and privileged. Now, when it comes to ICE and Latin American immigrants, that is something that they can relate to because it's their story. They see themselves in the Latin American fight, just people who were facing economic disparity or state-sanctioned violence, escaping their reality and here to start a new life. That is what every white immigrant family did. So that is the type of fight that they can align themselves with. They just want to start a new life. They can see themselves aligning for the fight to come here and assimilate and follow the rules. Not fighting to change the system. That goes against the core principle of whiteness. And so if you're wondering why white people aren't outraged or out in the streets causing chaos because of the Epstein files, it is because they are deeply, pathologically afraid.
Can someone explain to me why aging is the worst thing in the world for white people? Maybe it's the African in me, but like aging isn't really seen as like the worst thing in the world for like being African. In our culture, we kind of embrace age. Like it's not seen as something so humiliating and embarrassing. Like I remember going over to a white family's house and I was young and I didn't even know it was inappropriate, but I asked like the older woman, like, how old are you? Because I was literally 8. And that was like a conversation started when you're 8. And I remember being so chastised and be like, oh my God, that is so inappropriate to ask. And I'm just like, why is that so bad? Like, why is aging so bad? Why is you getting a wrinkle or two bad? Why is a facelift like the norm? Like, you do what you want with your body and everything. But like, I used to work at this frozen yogurt shop in Buckhead, and let me tell you, aging was seen as so bad. Like as soon as people would walk in, it was like a fresh facelift at the age of like 40 or something. And you know what? Do what you want. But like, I just don't understand why white people view aging as like the worst thing in the world. Can someone please explain this?
Why are white people so intimidated and threatened by black men, despite their claims that black men are inferior to them and incapable of the most basic tasks?
Well, there's an easy answer to that question. Then no black men are superior to them. Put us on any playing field, be it physics or football, and we will win. Give us the same opportunities, and we will win. Because we come from a history of not trying to destroy and dominate the world, and you come from a history of trying to destroy and dominate the world, and that has become the culture of the white community. You know? So you go into your medicine, and your first open heart surgery as a black man, your first separating of Siamese twins as a black man, the creator that eventually produces your first artificial heart as a black man. You can just go on and on. A black janitor, Johns Hancock, all right, teaches your best surgeon, the janitor, who never went to med school. Give me a break. You got a TV set because of a black man. You got a cell phone because of a black man. You got a touchstone because of a black woman. You got the video game because of a black man. You've got the internet because of a brother from Ghana, Nigeria or Ghana, I think the brother's from. You got what's when we send messages on the computer. You know, like I'm gonna text you, what do you call it? Email. You have the email because of a black Indian man. And it's just going, all of the technology that you using was created for your corporations by African peoples. Yeah. All of it.
I was raised to be equal to anyone. Listening to you are so prejudiced. I just can't believe it. I am shocked. You're scaring me.
I think we hear violence.
I'm so scared to go out in the world next year because I was never a prejudiced person until I'm listening to you. It's really scary hearing what you're saying. I'm very scared.
White people fearing you know, what will the black folks do and stuff. We should be running down the street screaming, ramping, and raving, because when you look at the statistics, who is the one dying? From the policemen, from the KKK, from the skinheads.
The young lady said she's afraid of violence. And isn't it sad that we who have been the victims of so much violence, now whites fear violence from us? We do not have a history of killing white people. White people have a history of killing us. See? And what you fear, may I say this, sir? What you fear, and it's a deep guilt thing, that white folks suffer. You are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think you are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
White people, are y'all scared to go in black spaces? You know, I know a lot of you, and if you're like, is he talking about me? Probably. Are you scared to go in black spaces? If so, I'm talking about you. I feel like so many white people are scared to go in black spaces for stereotypical reasons, right? Whether subconscious or not. You're probably thinking, am I safe? Are they just gonna jump me? Like, I don't know what you're thinking. Like, are they gonna rob me? Like, but I don't really know, like, what you think's gonna happen. And I think a lot of you think, well, I'm gonna stick out like a sore thumb. You will. You're the only white person there. How do you think a black person feels when they walk into a white space? You will stick out like a sore thumb. Of course you will. Well, they look at me, baby, they're making sure you're not there to hurt them. See, the difference is you're looking at them through the lens of stereotypes, right? They're looking at you through a lens of self-protection, because obviously through history, this country has shown over and over and over again the way it feels about its black citizens. And it's still doing it today. So baby, when you walk into their space, they're just trying to make sure that they're safe around you because of actual historical reasons, not stereotypes. The magic happens when they realize you're safe. That's when the magic happens. And I promise you it's magic.